All right, let me just stop the transcription because that like drives me crazy when I can see it. Okay, well, we got a couple more people joining. Okay, so we're gonna jump in, being that it's recorded. Let's get started. There's a lot to cover today. So we're gonna start out in BI, and if you guys can see my screen, I am gonna start with a little bit of navigation, and then we're gonna really just focus on the dashboard that's in front of us. So to jump into navigation, over here on the left-hand corner of your screen is a hamburger menu, is what we call it. And if you click on it, it's going to open up on the side, and you can see your home, dashboard, reports, alerts, report scheduler, and admin. Now, the first one is your dashboard selector. Now, the dashboard selector is going to give you some options. Now, you're going to see company dashboards. And under company dashboards, you'll see whatever dashboards have been shared with you. So community manager is the one we're focusing on today. So that's where you'll find your community manager dashboard. Now, underneath company dashboards is custom dashboards. Now, your instance may be blank. That's okay. Everybody in the call can go ahead and create custom dashboards. So if there's metrics that you find that you really want to look at, you can create your own custom dashboard and look at those metrics that way. Now, underneath that, we have our dashboard library. So everybody has access to the dashboard library, and you can take a look at the financial widgets and the integrated section. That's where your most of your stuff is going to live. Now, if you collapse the dashboards, underneath that, we have reports. Now, we have some really great reports, and those are kind of sectioned off in financial, integrated, and our scorecard report. So our scorecard report is like a build your own report. You can have as many KPIs as you would like to see, and you can go ahead and you can even schedule this to come to you automatically so you don't have to actually come in and do the work of pulling the report. So that's something available for you. Import is something that you guys won't use. If you see it, you really aren't going to use that. That's where you update your COA mapping, and that's really for admins. Underneath that is alerts. Now, alerts is where you can actually set metrics to be alerted to if those metrics change within a certain threshold that you set up. We'll talk about that briefly. And then underneath that report scheduler, that's where you can schedule any of the reports that you have access to, and then it will be delivered to you, however you set them up to be delivered. And that's just a time saver for you guys. You know, you set up your reports on a schedule and you don't even have to come in here to pull them. And then admin is going to be just for admin users, and you probably don't see this on your screen. We're going to go ahead and collapse the hamburger menu, and I want to just point out a few other features. So up here is your app switcher at the top right-hand corner. If you click on that, you can notice that you can get to performance analytics. So this is where you can switch between business intelligence and performance analytics. Next to that is our help guide. And I want to take just a second to go over our help guide because as you guys get familiar with the program, you're going to have questions. Our help guide is really robust, and I think it's very helpful. So if you click on this question mark icon, underneath that, you're going to see online help and guides. When you click view all, it's going to open you up into a waterfall menu where you can go ahead and make selections. Now, if you were looking at integrated metrics, you could click on the integrated section, and that would give you key performance indicators. It would give you widgets that are available, and this is where you're really going to get a lot of information. If you wanted to know about the availability widget, you can click on it. It's going to give you a thumbnail of what the widget looks like, and it's going to give you all the information about the widget. If there's drill through reporting available, it will say that as well. Now, in addition to that, you can search in the online help search bar, and that will bring up anything relevant to what you search. And then most importantly, this downloads or attachments section. If you guys are logged in through a unified platform, it's going to say attachments. I'm logged in through the AO platform, so it says downloads. But if you click on it, it's going to give you the same information. So this is going to be all sorts of quick reference guides that you guys can use to get familiar with the product. Now, one of the ones that I'm going to show you is our integrated quick reference guide. And the reason that I'm going to show that to you is integrated is probably where you're going to spend most of your time looking at operational metrics. And if you go to the top of this quick reference guide, you're going to start with every key performance indicator offered to you. So every single KPI is on here. If there's a formula included in that KPI, it is going to tell you what that is, a description of the KPI. And then when we get below the KPIs, and you can see there's a ton of them you have access to, then we're going to start getting into our widgets. So then we have a thumbnail of the widget, what it looks like. We have the description, just like we saw when we were looking in the waterfall menu. You're going to have all that same information. It's just really well laid out. And this is really great to have on hand for any questions you might have about logic in BI versus your PMS system. Now, there are going to be logic differences or calculations that are included in these metrics. So just making sure that you're really comfortable with that. This is going to be helpful to getting comfortable. Okay, next to that will be your name, and if you click on it, you can log out. Now, underneath that, we have a funnel icon. The funnel icon is going to allow you to change the type of books that you're on, but you guys don't need to worry about that. So kind of ignore the funnel icon. It's not really something that you'll use. But next to that is a pencil icon. If you click on that, you can go ahead and you can do a few things. You can edit your dashboard if you're in a dashboard that is editable. So if you're in a custom dashboard that's private to just you can click on edit and you can edit your dashboard. Now, the next option is a printer icon. That gives you a printable version of your dashboard so you can take it on the go. If you maybe have a meeting with your team and you want to show them this dashboard, you can then print it and take it with you. Lastly, this is probably the most important menu system, and this is going to be the menu system to create dashboards, share dashboards, all of that good stuff. Now, most of you on the call probably can't create a company dashboard. You probably don't even see that as an option, but everybody's going to have add a new dashboard. That is that custom dashboard that's private to just you, and that's where you can go ahead and add that as a dashboard. Now, if we click add new dashboard, we basically are just giving a name, and it's going to then populate a blank slate for us to create a dashboard. Now, if we go ahead and make a dashboard, I'll show you real quick. It's going to give you a blank slate down here for widgets where you can go ahead and pull them from your library and drag them up onto your screen. And then to edit your KPI bar, to select from the KPIs that are available, there's a little action menu on your KPI bar. If you click that and hit edit, then you can go ahead and you can bring in the KPIs that are important to you. So you can come down here to the integrated section and you can bring those KPIs in. Now, if you want to get rid of any of the ones that are here, best practice would be to completely clear this out and then go in and start pulling KPIs onto your dashboard.
Christina.
You can only have 9 KPIs in your dashboard, which is why we recommend the scorecard report, which allows you to pull as many KPIs as you'd like to see. So that's how you will edit your dashboard. Going back to our community manager dashboard.
Hey, Christina. Can I jump in here for just a second?
Sure.
So you hear Christina referring to integrated. Here's the integrated KPIs. For those of you, I just want to explain that integrated is meaning coming from Entrata. Okay, so when she refers to that, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that. All of this data that's coming into business intelligence is a result of whatever you're doing in Entrata. This data does run 1 day behind. And it is so critical, just like Lorelei sending out those dashboards from Entrata. This business intelligence is only going to be as good as however current Entrata is. Okay. And I just want to say too, you can't mess anything up over here. It's not like you're messing with transactions. Y'all, this is purely a reporting tool. So you creating these custom dashboards like Christina is showing you, you can come in here and play and not have to worry that you're messing something up in live data, okay? You're not. And Christina, I'm sorry that I'm jumping in, but I know that this dashboard can be a little bit overwhelming, quite frankly, when you're looking at it and you see all these options. So I just kind of wanted to chime in and talk through that a little bit.
Yeah, those are really great points, Michelle. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, when I'm talking about integrated, I'm really talking about your operational data, but it's coming from Entrata, which is why we call it integrated data. So the integrated section is where you want to focus on most of like the
Yes.
areas that you're going to be in. But that's just because that's where we have your operational data.
That's right. And there are 2 data points that do not come over today to BI, and that is really important for y'all to note. There's no marketing data coming today and no delinquency. All right. So I know delinquency is important to some of y'all. So if you're looking for that KPI, just make a note. It's coming, but it's not there today.
Yes,
Okay.
also great points, Michelle. Thank you. All right, so we quickly showed you how you can build a custom dashboard. Come in here and just play around, throw things on the dashboard, see what you like. But this is the dashboard in front of us, the community manager dashboard, that your company has decided they want you focusing on these specific metrics. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go and build your own dashboards and look at other things, but this is the stuff that your company wants you focused on. So taking a look at this KPI bar at the top, we have, occupancy, we have leased, we have availability, your projected occupancy for 60 days. Now, we do have a lot of our metrics in 30, 60, and 90, so you have options, but on this dashboard, we're focused on 60 days. So then we have our expiration and our pending leases for 60 days. We have our renewed, notice to vacate, and you see you can get all of these figures so you know exactly where you stand. Which is so great. And then we have our in-place rent per square foot. Now, anybody can scorecard this if you have access to more than one property. So for community managers, you might be only seeing 1 or 2 properties. That's okay. Regional managers on the call, if you have access to more than one property, if you scorecard, it's going to then break out those metrics on your KPI bar by the property list that you have selected. So we see our occupancy very quickly for our entire portfolio. So for whatever properties you have access to, you'll be able to get a scorecard view of your KPIs, which is really helpful. Now, down below the KPI bar is where we have our widgets. Now, widgets can be drilled through. There's a lot of options that you have with widgets, and we're going to go through those. KPIs are just singular metrics. You can't click on them. There's no drill throughs. These are just kind of visible to you so you can kind of see these at a glance and kind of dig into the details down within the widgets. So the first widget that we have, yes, the scorecard is just so cool. So occupancy and lease is our first widget. Now, this has a lot of information. We have occupancy, we have our leased, and we have our vacancy. If for some reason you wanted to take out vacancy, you can click on it and it will remove it from your view. You can click on it and bring it right back in. Now, additionally, you can click on this and filter by bedroom type. So maybe you're really focused on your 2 bedrooms. You can drill down into your 2 bedrooms and really take a look at how that's trending. Now you can look at your data either by end of period or average. So what was the average over that month, or what was the end of the period? What was my occupancy? What was my lease at the end of that month? So you have options. Oh, we got people joining. Okay. So you have some options here. Now, if you wanted to see this in a bigger scale, you can hit on this little those little arrows and that'll expand it for you. But maybe you want to focus in on just maybe January through May. We can zoom in and it'll expand your view so you can really focus in on the details, and then you can reset your zoom and go back. Now you can excuse me, you can also do that right here in the widget. So you can zoom into your widget and then reset your zoom. So a couple cool functionality features of this widget. Now, in addition, you are going to see these action menus next to every widget right in the corner. These all have options. So if we click on this, we have a data view option. If you don't like charts and you're more of a data person, you like spreadsheets, you can switch it to a data view and you can keep your view this way. If you change your widget to a data view, it is not going to change it back automatically. If you log out and you come back in, it's going to stay in that data view for you, but you can always manually change that back. Now, if you notice, when I was in the data view, I had a new option on my action menu, which is export to Excel. So you can always export a widget to Excel if you're in a data view. That option does go away when you're not in a data view. But where the real like meat and bones is this drill through. These drill throughs are going to give you that layer of detail. If you have more than one property, access to more than one property, you are going to see your property list here. You're going to see all of the same stuff that you saw in the widget, but you're going to get a more detailed view. So you have your months going across, and then you have your property list going down. Now, as you notice, we're filtered down to 2 bedrooms. I can change what I'm filtering within my drill through. I don't have to go back to my widget and change my view. I can do that right from here. Now, every layer of drill through is going to have a play button here where you can export this data out of the system. Now this layer or this drill through does not have another layer of drill through. If we did, you would see the property names would be in blue. So we'll see that in other widgets that we explore, but just know that this is going to be the only layer of drill through for this widget. The next one is my availability, and this is one of my favorite widgets. This drills through down to the unit level detail. So if instead of system hopping, seeing something in business intelligence and then having to go back to Entrata to research it, you can get that information right here. So if I drill through on this widget, it's first going to take me to that property level detail. So I have my property list here. If you have access to more than one property, you can go ahead. If you see a blue link, that means there's more to see. There's drill through capabilities. But notice each level of drill through is going to have that play button that you can export the data. So if I wanted to know more about the 12 units that are vacant and not leased at Eagle Crossing, I can click on Eagle Crossing and drill in. And now I'm going to get a floor plan level detail. So I'm going to see both floor plans and I'm going to see all that same information that I saw on the widget. But in addition to that, I can click through and get more detail. As you notice, Eagle Crossing is in blue. So I can click on it and I can get that unit level detail. It's going to give me a lot of information, my building number, my unit number, square footage, current and prior lease information, your move out dates, how many days vacant. We are always keeping an eye on those vacant days. And then your make ready days, knowing what's ready. So this is really great information that you can get, and you can zero in on that by drilling through on those property lists. So that's the availability widget, one of my favorites. Recent leases is really great. You can look at your last 7 or 30 days and you have your property list here. If you only have access to one property, you'll just see one. But you can zero in on 7 or 30 days. You can also look at it by application signed and start date. So however you like to see your data, you can make that change. Now this one does have a drill through, and we can then drill through instead of looking at that aggregated detail. Now I have my property list and I can drill in and get more detail. If I click on Flash Cube, we are then going to get that floor plan level detail. But you notice all of my floor plans have a blue link. So that means that I can get more information about these 2 leases. I can drill in, and now I'm going to get that detail for those 2 leases that were signed. Again, you can drop these down. You can drop these down and change and look at 30 days if you wanted to, and look at your leases for the last 30 days. So again, you don't have to go back to your widget to drill through. All right, next we have our lease trade out. This is a great one. I like it as a visual, but again, you can just change it to a data view if you prefer to see the data. Now you can exclude units that have been vacant more than 90 days. You can look at just 9 to 15 month leases, so taking out those anomalies. So taking a look at these, yep. And then you can sort by start application and sign date. So options here. You can really tailor business intelligence to how you like to see your data. We do have a drill through, but we also can export to Excel because we're in a data view. but we're going to drill through. And you're always going to start out with a property list for whatever properties you have pulled into your property picker. But we have blue links, so we can get more information about these new leases, these renewals, and then your rent roll, all of those leases. So if we wanted more information about Forest Village, we simply click on it, and we're going to get a ton of information about our new leases, about our renewals, and all of our leases. But again, we have more blue. We can continue to click through. So we probably won't go through on every widget that we have on the dashboard, but know that you guys should kind of explore these widgets and see what the level of drill through is on these, and see the different filters that you have within the drill throughs. So lease trade out is a great widget. There's so much information in that. And you can even turn off gross. If you really were like focused on your effective rent, you can turn off gross. And so you can really focus in on your effective rent. So just know that these are interactive and you can really kind of fine tune to what you're looking for. The lease expiration forecast I love because you can see by bedroom type really quickly what kind of lease expirations you have coming up in the future. And again, you can turn off certain things and, change your view. Now we can look at scheduled or actual expirations. Now actual is going to be what actually happened, what was entered into Entrata. Scheduled is going to be what was scheduled in Entrata. Maybe that didn't happen, but you can look at it in either manner. Now, renewal performance, another one of my favorites. Very quickly, you see what's pending. You can take out maybe you're not looking at notice to vacate, or maybe you're really focused on notice to vacate and you want to zero in on notice to vacates. You can do anything that you want in here as far as looking at that data, but you can zero in on your bedroom type. So maybe you're really struggling with your renewals on your 2 bedrooms and you want to see, what do I have left pending? Well, you can zero in on those 2 bedrooms and very quickly get that snapshot of what's pending. Now you can look at it actual and scheduled. So again, you have those options. I really like this because the drill through gives you so much detail. So we have our property list here, and we have the months that we're looking at. And then we have our total units, our expirations, how many renewals do we have? So that whole breakout that I'm sure you guys do, maybe even manually right now, you're going to have all of that information at your fingertips. And then don't forget, if it's blue, you can continue to click through. Make ready status. This is really great information. Taking a look and seeing where your make readies are. You can sort by top and bottom performers if you have access to more than the number of properties that fit on the screen. You can go ahead and sort by bottom and take a look at those as well. So this is really great one to drill through on because there's so much detail within the widget that it's nice to be able to drill in and get more detail. So if we open this up, it's going to give us our property list and all of that information. Days vacant, units not ready. We want to see what units are ready and which ones are not ready. So this is a really great widget that, again, you can drill further into and get more detail. Now, revenue, expense, and NOI widgets. Awesome, right? You have the ability to look at your operational data here, but you're also bringing in that financial aspect. So you can sort your revenue by other income. Maybe one of your tasks is to grow your other income. Let's see how I'm doing on my other income, and I can really get that visual. If you're not interested in looking at the chart, don't worry. It is available in data view and you can really get those values. Now you can drill in and you can get to whatever detail was given to you in your permissions. I can't remember, did we give community managers GL level details?
I'm pretty sure we did, but I'll double check.
So we have a way of locking down GL level details. So they're going to check on that and let you know if you have access to that. But technically from this widget, you can drill down and get to the GL level details if you have that permission. So we can see that we're looking at our total income with our broken out by rental income, rental losses, and other income. So very quickly, we see all of that information. We can click down and get that geo level details. And so it's going to break out that rental income, those rental losses, and that other income. The expense widget is going to do the same thing. Right now, we're looking at month to date. you can drill in and you can get the details for these expenses. Now you might notice that these expenses are broken out by category. So we have payroll, we have administrative, marketing, utilities. So you can really get a good view of how you're performing with your expenses. And we do have this in a data view, but there is no drill
Christina.
through on this one.
Christine, I have a question. Does the expense view pull in the purchase orders, or is that only posted invoices?
That's a great question. It is just posted invoices. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
anything that's pending then on their dashboard would not populate in here, or anything that has a pending PO is not included, correct?
That would be correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then last but not least, your NOI. Everybody's focused on NOI, and you have the ability to look at this by month. So if you're looking at a year-to-date amount, we're looking at the total year-to-date. But you could go back to January if you wanted to and look at your NOI year-to-date in January. Now you can sort by top and bottom performers in the event that you have more properties than fit on this little screen. But the drill through is going to be really helpful for you. The drill through is going to give you the property list if you have access to more than one property. It's going to give you the revenue, expense, NOI, and what that variance is. If we click on this, we're going to get more detail. So it's going to open up our GL level details. So we see our GLs here, and then we have our actual budget and variance. Now, I'm not going to scroll down because it might hit payroll activity and I don't want to do that, but there is a full list of all of your rental income and expenses below here. Now, you can export that out as an Excel, PDF, whatever you'd like. That is BI. Anybody have any questions? Because I definitely want to make sure that we get time for PA, which is performance analytics for short. And so does anybody have any questions about navigating, about using the widgets?
And I'd love to get some first impressions, or can anyone, see how using this dashboard could make your life easier?
Can we save that for the end so we can get through PA?
Totally.
Awesome.
Now, there is training available within the product learning portal and Easy LMS. So if you guys have access, everybody will have access to the product learning portal. It's free. You can create your own account and you can go and access any of our training. And Emily and Lorelei, they have all that information for additional trainings available. But if you go into the product learning portal and you search business intelligence, you can take trainings on reports. There's training on report scheduler and alerts, and I would love to get into all of that. We're just not going to have enough time to get to performance analytics if we do. But the folks on your team do know how to use these products. So, all right, going into performance analytics. Performance analytics is a bit more technical, which is why I want to make sure we have enough time to kind of get through some of this stuff. So in here, we still have a hamburger menu. It's going to be very similar to the setup for performance or for business intelligence. So you have your dashboard. That's going to take you to whatever dashboard that you're on if you're in another section of performance analytics. So if you were building a widget and you needed to get back to your dashboard, you hit dashboard, it brings you right back. Widgets, that's where you're going to build widgets. We're probably not going to have time to learn how to build widgets today, but it is a pretty self-explanatory process. It basically walks you through. And the folks on your team, Lorelei, Emily, they know how to build the widgets. So if you need additional training. Now, comp setup. Comp setup is where you can set up custom comp sets. Now, for most of you on the call, those probably will be created for you if they're going to be created. But you have some standard benchmarking options available as well. I'm going to just mute you, Darlene. There you go. Okay. So underneath that, we have financial data import. Again, that's not really for you guys on the call today. Report scheduler. You can schedule any of the reports that are available here within performance analytics, making your life a little easier, not having to manually pull those reports. But we do have all these fantastic reports I highly recommend pulling the ELA report if you've never used that report. It is a 3-page report and it gives you so much information you wouldn't even believe how much detail is in there. So check out the ELA report if you get a chance. And then admin is going to be for our admin users. Now collapsing that and jumping in to our dashboard. Now there's a whole lot going on here. We notice that we have no data though. That's because we haven't brought any properties into our dashboard. Now, before I jump into bringing properties onto our dashboard, this is where your dashboard selector is. Now you're going to want to focus on operational and financial. We just don't have that marketing data yet for you, but eventually this will be a dashboard you can use as well. Now, operational is going to have all that operational data, financials where you can actually benchmark your financial data. Really cool stuff. Now, jumping into the filter box, we can pull into our property picker any number of properties we have access to. So I'm going to hit apply. So we're bringing in our properties and now you see everything comes to life.
Christina,
Right now,
is it possible to look at one property view just because that's where most of our team members are going to be looking at? So you can pick any one of those properties.
sure. Yep, no problem. All right, so now we're looking at 909 Walnut and we're on the revenue widget down here. So we're seeing all of the metrics that are available within that widget. That's not going to be the typical view. The typical view is going to be single KPI independent lines. And what that means is you're looking at one specific KPI at a time for the revenue widget. And you would be able to toggle to those other KPIs here or down here within the widget. You can go ahead and click on these radio buttons down here and you can get to the different KPIs. Now, your dashboard is just a collection of KPIs and widgets. Your widgets are just a collection of KPIs. So really, essentially, you're looking just at the different KPIs that are included in each widget, and they're kind of groups like revenue, executed rent, in-place rent, occupancy, as you can see. Now, what I want to talk about is how do you look at the data on your screen? Well, what interval are you looking at? Right now we're looking at 13 months and we're looking at a monthly view, but we have options. We have weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly. So with those comes different options. So if you pick weekly, you have 1 to 26 weeks. If you pick monthly, it's going to default to 13 months, but you have you have 3, 6, 13, 25, and 37. Quarterly and yearly have additional options as well. You're probably going to be looking at weekly or monthly mostly, but you do have the quarterly and yearly to look at. Now, their date range for monthly is going to default to 13 months, and that's the typical view that we look at. Now, underneath that, you have moving average. Now, you might see, that we see our, in our chart, we see our data points going up and down. You might want to put in a moving average to kind of ease that, smooth those bumps out. So it's always an option to add a moving average, but it's going to default to 1, which is not adding a moving average. Next, you have exclude your current period. Now, this is something that was, people really wanted. And basically what it is saying today is the 2nd of May. So performance and analytics will be looking at the 1st of May as its date. Well, that's only 1 day. And I don't want to see a data point with 1 day, or maybe it's 5 days or 15 days. Maybe you don't want to see partial data. You want to see a full set of data. Well, turning this on will say, I want to exclude my current period and I want to look at full months. Okay. Underneath that is where I turned on benchmarking. So you notice we're currently benchmarking. We have our subject on our chart versus our comparison. This is where you actually turn it on. If I click this button, it's going to turn it off and I'm strictly looking at my property's performance. If you turn on benchmarking, you're going to see that this benchmark selector illuminates. And you can click on that. It's going to open up in a side, and this is where you pick, how am I benchmarking my property? Now, true comps is going to be what we best practice. You can use true comps. It is going to use 8 key attributes to pick you the best comps for your properties. For most of you on the call, I think that would be a perfectly good way to look at your comps. But the folks on this call, the admins, have the ability to create custom comp sets where you can actually benchmark based on attributes. So looking at market, submarket, zip code, layering in asset class and T24 asset class. Now, if you wanted to benchmark against your own portfolio, you have the option to do that. Most of you on the call are going to probably only have access to 1 or 2 properties, so you probably don't want that option. But True Comps is what we recommend. It is best practice. And if you're ever curious about what some of these filters do, if you click on these little information icons, they're going to give you more details about what you're looking at. So if you were wondering about True Comps, this is going to be the 8 key attributes that are used in the calculation to get you the best comps. Underneath that is organized by. How do I want to organize my data? So as you saw, we were on multi-KPI initially. Multi-KPI is going to give you every KPI on your chart. Now you can turn them off. So if you're not focused on your rent roll, you're focused on effective rent, we can turn off the rent roll. There it is. And we can just focus on your effective rent and your occupancy. So this is interactive. You can turn things on and off to kind of simplify the view a little bit. There's other options as well. Multi-KPI pivoted by a filter. So maybe you want to see all these KPIs, but you want to pivot based on bedroom type. You can do that. Okay. Next option is pivot by a filter. So it's not going to give you all the KPIs. It's going to give you one at a time, but it's going to allow you to pivot that KPI by a filter. Now you see underneath it's pivoting by bedrooms. You do have some other options. You can pivot by term and term variance. Underneath that, we have single KPI quintiles. Quintile benchmarking is a really cool option, and it gives you basically a star rating to where you fit in the comps. So you may be a 5-star and you're kind of highly above all of the competition, or maybe you're a 2-star. But this gives you the ability to see, of the competition that I'm being compared to, where do I stack up? So it's just kind of a neat view. And if you're creating rule sets, it's the easiest way to set up a rule set. You can use, I want to be notified if my property drops below a 3-star. And that rule set will trigger and notify you that you're now a 2-star. Now to layer on quintiles, you can also have quintiles pivoted by a filter. So you want to see that star rating, but you want to see it broken out by bedroom, by term, or term variance. You can do that. Underneath that is pivot by a tag. So your leadership should know a little bit more about tags and setting them up, but you can pivot by a tag. So any of the system tags that we have are available. And then if you create custom tags, which your leadership would do, you can pivot based on those as well. So, if you wanted to pivot by class, which we're doing right now, you can do that. Now, in the all settings, there's a few more options I'm going to run through just quickly. Most of you won't use these settings. In here, you do have the ability to include excluded properties. So if your property is not considered stable for some reason, maybe it doesn't have complete data for the 13 months we're looking at, or maybe it's just not highly occupied, it's still in lease up. That's okay. You can manually include that property, or you can drop this down and say, I always want to see my property. I don't care if it's not stable. You can hit always. Best practice would be to leave it to manually, but if you're constantly overriding the system, you might want to think about using always. Now, align data set. This is asking about your competitors. Do I want to see the same competitors no matter what data set I'm looking at, whether I'm looking at my financial data or my operational data, or do I want the best competitors for my financial data? And that may not be the same as my operational data. So you do have 2 options. Within is going to say for the data set that I'm in, I want to see the best competitors. Across data sets is going to say, I want to see if I'm looking at my operational data and my financial data, I want to see the same set of competitors. That would be the first option across data sets. And then site type, most of you shouldn't, worry about changing this. It's going to default to conventional. All right, so that is the filters. Now up here, we are currently in a chart view. Taking a look at the chart view, you can always take a look at it that way. There we go. Okay, so you can look at your chart view, and this is going to be the standard view. but you can actually look at it in a data view. And the cool thing about a data view is you can then get the data for your time frame going across. You can get your value versus your the variance to benchmark. So this is the difference between your subject's property and the competitor property. So it's not telling you what their value is, it's telling you your value and then the delta to benchmark. Now, if you want more information broken out, you can click on the property because it's blue, and you can get that breakout of the bedrooms. So you get all your bedroom types. And then you can also drop down and you could look at term or term variance. So this is basically you filtering that data, but getting it in a data view for the time frame going across. Now, in addition to that cool view, we have our scorecard view, which I love. So if you pull into your scorecard view, you're going to see your property and you're going to see all the metrics that are pulled into this revenue widget. So I'm going to see every KPI, all 6 KPIs that I have in that widget. I'm going to see my performance and the delta to benchmark. Now, in here, you can also change the widget that you're looking at. So maybe you want to see executed rent in the scorecard view. You can simply click on this and make those changes. Next is going to be the composition. So I'm looking at operational data on my screen right now. So I can see who am I comparing to? This is not going to tell you that you're comparing to your next door neighbor property. It's going to tell you what attributes you're comparing to. Because we use live data coming out of everybody, all of our clients' PMS, we can't tell you who, what communities make this up. But right now we're looking at 10 competitors and we're looking at the key attributes for those 10 competitors. This is going to be the best insight you have to who you're comparing against.
Can I do Uncle Potty?
I'm going to mute you, Nikki. There you go. Okay. Next, we have our KPI summary. This is a really cool view. It gives you kind of like a little snapshot view. So it gives you your subject, the average, and then the delta to benchmark. So really cool, just a really clean looking view of all the KPIs on your dashboard. So this isn't just for one widget. This is going to be all of the KPIs that you have pulled onto your dashboard. The next option is a KPI scorecard, another view. So your property list here, you have those KPIs going across. Now this is going to be for your entire dashboard, not just one widget. So if you want to bring all of the KPIs from your dashboard into a view, this is going to be a great view for you to take a look at. And again, we're looking at our performance and the delta to benchmark for each metric. Now you can hide your filter just by clicking this little over arrow, and then you can bring it back by clicking on it again. You can hide your widgets. So if I'm in a chart view and I don't want to see these widgets, I can hide them by clicking the down arrow and make my screen bigger. We also have presentation mode. If you're giving a presentation and you don't want all of this stuff on the screen, you can simply click one button and that gets you a presentation mode. And if you need to change the widget, you would drop this down and change your widget. And if you wanted to change the KPI for the widget, you would change it here. Okay, so jumping back in, there's a few more options. So editing your dashboard, you're probably wondering, well, how do I pick what's on my dashboard? Well, we click Edit Dashboard, and it's going to give you a couple options. So you can change the name of your dashboard if you want to. You can also make it private or public. If you wanted to share your dashboard with somebody, you could make it public and they would be able to use your dashboard. Now they can't change it, but they can look at it. Next up, if we click on widgets, these are the widgets that are on my dashboard. If I didn't want one of these widgets on my dashboard, I can hit the trash can. It'll send it back to the library. But if I do want it on there and I just want to add some additional widgets, you can do that. You click this little add button here, and this is the full list of widgets that you have access to. Now, unfortunately, I can't take the marketing ones out of here. You're gonna see them, but they won't populate right now. So just focus on anything that says operational or finance. Those are gonna be the widgets that you're gonna wanna take a look at. Now, if you wonder what's in this in-place rent widget, it says it has 6 KPIs. it's an operational widget, you can drop down this little caret and you can see each KPI that's included in that widget. And if it's an average, maybe it's a trend, it's going to tell you here if it's an average or a trend. If it's rounding, it's going to tell you the decimal places. So a lot of information really quickly. So you can go ahead and multi-click, add the widgets that you want to see, hit add. You can also create a widget from this screen. So if you wanted to build your own widget, you can do that right here. I'm going to click add, and then I'm going to see my full list of widgets for my dashboard here, and I'm going to click save. It's going to update my dashboard for the new widgets that I've added. So you can see them all here. Now you guys are pro users, which is extra cool. So be happy that your company signed up for the pro version. If you had a question, what makes up this 94.3 number? You can click on it and get a lease extract. Super cool. Really helpful, especially if you're trying to validate data. So that's another cool feature. Any number in blue or green or red can be clicked on and you can get an extract. Hi. I think I got through all this. All right. I can show you quickly how to build a widget. So let's click on widgets. We can go ahead and see any widgets that we've already created. We can see other widgets. These are our real page standard options. And then you can click create widget. If we click create widget, then you can go ahead and go through the process of adding KPIs. It's multi-select. You can add any number of KPIs to the widget. Hit apply. It's going to tell you your widgets. You can configure them individually. Then we can go next. You can add the name of your widget, a description, and you can choose to make it public or private. Then you can go and add a rule set to it. Rule sets are going to be a little more technical than we can get into today, but basically it's an alert, and it's going to just alert you to the metrics that you have set up if you want to be alerted. Your leadership can tell you more about that if you're interested. And then you have to assign your widget to a dashboard. So what dashboard do I want to assign my widget to? And then lastly, it's going to give you a confirmation. And that is as simple, you can put it on any dashboard you want, and then you're going to click dashboard and your new widget will be on your dashboard for you. So just a really quick tutorial about creating widgets. Creating dashboards, you're just going to click new dashboard, give it a name, choose the widgets that you want on your dashboard and hit save. And you will have an additional dashboard. Now, there are no limits to how many dashboards you guys can create in performance analytics. So go ahead, create a bunch of dashboards, play around in here. It's really, really neat to be able to benchmark your data against the competitors. Now, one last thing I want to point out is if you're in the financial dashboard, you can actually look at expenses. So when we were building this product, we went ahead and mapped your chart of accounts to a master chart of accounts that BI and PA understand. So if I wanted to pivot by expense, yep, okay. So if I wanted to pivot by expense and I click on the expense revenue or expense widget, just know that if you're pivoting by expense, your revenue widgets will be blank. But I think this is really cool. Being able to benchmark your expenses versus your competitors' expenses is really cool. So if you wanted to see the breakout of how you stack up against your competitors for taxes or management fees or insurance, you can do that. So some really cool stuff you can do in the financial dashboard. So definitely check that out. You can filter and choose what you filter by. Now, if you're looking at expenses, you filter by expenses. If you're looking at revenue, you filter based on revenue. If you're on one or the other and your widget is blank, it's probably because you have a filter on. So check your filters. If your screen ever looks funny like this and you're not seeing data, you probably have a filter on. Okay, we are real close to the end. I've gone a million miles an hour. You guys have seen a ton of stuff for 2 products. So I don't expect that you're going to remember everything. Remember that we do have upcoming trainings available for performance analytics. I'm going to be leading them, so you'll be real comfortable to know that it's me doing the training. you're welcome to join that training, and you can sign up for that in the product learning portal as well. Also for BI, we have lots of training available. There's not as much for performance analytics just because it's such a new program. But again, I'm going to be leading trainings for that. So sign up for them if you want to see more. I think we're going to get into some other things on those trainings. So you might be able to see how to build data templates and things like that, how to create rule sets. So feel free to join me on any future trainings. You guys always have access to those trainings, even after you transition to your long-term support and you have an account manager. Okay. So I guess, Michelle, you wanted to open it up to some discussion. So let's jump in.
Yeah. Hey, Christina, will you toggle back to the BI dashboard?
Yep.
And you guys, I don't know about you. Look, I've used RealPage for like 20 years. So even this information is a lot for me. So, you know, a show of hands, if you are a little like deer in the headlights, that was a lot. Hit your raised hand. I want to see your reactions to know that you're still with me. You're still with us. But you guys, let me just back up for just a second and explain just a few things. So Entrada today does not have this type of BI dashboard for us. Can you guys see how powerful this, having all of this data across, you know, Worcester Nation is so powerful rather than having to go property by property? I'm sure you do. And remember, this is only a reporting tool. This is brand new. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like this is a lot, that's totally normal. And just know that behind the scenes, we're going to be digging into this more. We're going to be setting some parameters for, hey, this is how we would like for you to use BI. Christina and I are going to host more BI classes in the future and kind of drill into, okay, now you've seen all the capabilities we have, but now let's start really talking about how we're going to use it at our company. So just know that that's coming. Do y'all have any first impressions or feedback from what you've seen today? Don't be shy.
I think it is pretty cool. It looks like it's combining the things we were wanting to know in Entrada in the same space as when we're looking at pricing. So for that would be very helpful for me to see everything in one app than having to go from ARM to Entrada to see the same information.
Exactly. Is that Kelsey?
Yes, it is.
I'm starting to know you guys by name, by voice now. Yeah, exactly, Kelsey. Thank you for that. What else, y'all? And I know as we've been going through this BI dashboard, you've probably seen a few of these widgets like the occupancy or the availability that maybe you thought could help you.
I think we're going to spend a lot less time waiting for reports to generate in Entrada. Looking through our report library.
Right? Exactly. Anything else? Any questions for us today? Lorelei and the SOS team, do y'all have anything that you want to add?
I don't.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll just say, I know this is a lot of information. We've reached our limit with like training with RealPage. So we'll have internal trainings. We're lucky to have Michelle, who's worked with RealPage a lot. So hopefully we can put together some good trainings with Michelle. And then they have tons of resources. So you can access their help center and search for whatever you are trying to find. You can do different trainings. So you have plenty of resources for you. And then this is going to be a work in progress. So setting it up how we want you to use it. It's going to be a work in progress. I mean, Christina and I have been working together on this for 6 months, just so you all know. So it's just it's a work in progress.
It's been a labor of love, Emily, huh?
Yes.
Well, I know from my experience and being in your seats in the past, I would have loved this program, both of them really, but BI for a property manager is huge. A regional manager is huge. Being able to aggregate your properties really quickly by using the scorecard is awesome. Scheduling reports to, save your time, right? Have them delivered to you. Create alerts so you're being alerted to things that are happening at your property that you need to know about. There's just so much value in the program. So get in there, jump in, take a look at it. Like they said, you can't break either one of these systems. They are read-only products, so you can't break anything. Do, anything that you're allowed to do with your permissions, and just play around in there. And yes, the product learning portal is going to have so many BI trainings that you're going to get up to speed so much faster if you do take advantage of some of the trainings that we do offer in that portal. And again, it's free to you guys to use. You just have to set up an account. Go ahead, Amy.
Awesome.
No
Anything
questions?
else? Yeah,
Okay.
anything else before we wrap up, everybody?
I have a quick question. Will this kind of take over the reporting we get on a daily basis from Entrata, or will we still be keeping track of both? I know we get a couple like reports emailed over to us that it looks like contains the same information. Will that stay, or is this going to be more encouraged to look through over that?
It'll probably stay for right now, but that'll
Okay,
be a leadership decision
gotcha.
for a
Okay,
later time.
cool. Thank you.
All right, well, I'm going to send this recording to you guys after the call. It will be shared to you guys so you can rewatch it if you need to, or whatever will be helpful to you. I will be sending that to the leaders, so Michelle will include you, Lorelai, Emily, and Nicole. If you're on the call, I can't see you, but so I will share this recording with you guys. You guys can save it to your cloud or however you guys share documents, and you'll always have access to that training as long as you guys download it and save it to your drive. Okay.
Awesome. Christina, thank you so much.
Thank
Emily,
you.
thank you so much for all your work on this.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you, Christina.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Bye,
Thanks, you
everybody.
too.
Bye.